welcome to today's episode of Freewheeling, sponsored by, inspired by Karma the Chameleon behind me. Now, communications is one of those things that trip owners, leaders, managers, parents, husbands, wives up all of the time. It's something that's quite hard to get right. And one of the challenges we have is that we have our own communication preferences, and we tend to use those preferences when we're broadcasting communications or we're involved in two-way communications in the workplace or in our lives, in our relationships in general. And that's kind of a mistake, because what we need to be more is aware of other people's communication styles, and we need to be more like the chameleon. So that doesn't mean we have to change and be something we're not. It means we just have to adjust the way that we say things and the word we use to fit not just the situation that most people get, I think, but to fit the person who's on the receiving end or who's broadcasting a message to us. A great example of a personality type would be when you've got somebody who is all about options versus somebody who's all about procedures. Okay, so as an owner manager, you might be the sort of problem solver who just loves to create tons of different options to solve something. Okay, now if you've got somebody on your team who's much more procedurally oriented, that's one of their communication preferences, or that's one of the way their brain works, then if you just present them a number of options with how to solve a problem, they're kind of going to get overwhelmed, and that's not going to work for them. What you've got to do is say, okay, rather than say, well, you've got option A, B, and C to deal with this issue, you say, well, listen, the procedure that I think you should use to follow this, to deal with this problem is step 1, step 2, step 3. It's a much more linear way of thinking, which is just the way some people's brains are put together. The other place where we often see communication breakdowns, and a really classic example, and you're going to laugh at this, is when you're at the front of a team meeting and you're trying to inspire everybody in your team to do something cool with the practice, or to get behind a new initiative or something like that, okay? And what typically happens is the leader / manager or you stand at the front of the room and you go, this is going to be awesome because of X and Y and Z. And everyone in the room's like, folded arms, crossed over, looking grumpy, giving you the side eye. And what's going on there is not that they don't want to help animals, because your initiative is, it might be something like a pet health club or a new program you're running, or you're doing some training on new equipment. It's stuff that under other circumstances, they'd be genuinely interested and kind of fascinated by. So that's not what's going on there. The fact of the matter is, you're communicating through your preference, through your frame of communication reference, which is towards, it's the glass half full, to a room full of problem solvers in veterinary medicine who are all of the away from or the glass half empty persuasion. So you got to find a different way to say the same thing. And often that means not couching it as an opportunity for people, but building it up as a problem for people. And the classic and wonderful example I like to give to people is, you got the negative Nelly on your team. This is the extreme example of this, but the negative Nelly on your team who always says, that'll never work because blah, 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 or starts picking holes in your plan in front of the rest of the team and just pours cold water on your idea. The way to deal with a negative Nelly is probably in advance, have the conversation and say, rather than say, hey, this is going to be awesome because of this, this, and this, you say, oh, negative Nelly, or Nelly, I got a big problem. This is never going to work, and I just can't get my head around how this could possibly work. It's probably not even worth talking about. And I will guarantee you, your negative Nelly will go, tell me more. And will be shaking your arms to find out more about what the problem is, because you've said it in their language, you've couched it as a problem, and now they will move behind your idea and actually get right behind it and drive it to where you need it to be, simply because they're starting to engage with it as their problem to solve. Does that make sense? It's a little twisted, all right? There are multiple ways in which you have to become a chameleon, which people have different communication preferences. And if you can learn what those communication preferences are, and there are psychometric profiling things you can do to establish that, if you can work that out and become the chameleon to be able to answer their questions and to present information to them in the way that they perceive it, then you are on your way to becoming an amazing communicator. So, Thank you very much to our friend Karma Chameleon. That's it for today. What are your questions? What are your thoughts? What has your experiences been in the world of veterinary management? Like, what are the challenges you've encountered? Fire them in. Let's talk about them. We'll maybe answer a few in the comments. We might even pull them into a future edition of Freewheeling. Till next time, be safe, be well, be happy. Dr. Dave, out.